We had a bar
Nice.
mitzvah.
Florida's the new everything. Florida
Yeah, it was
The new deal.
beautiful. The weather was gorgeous.
nice.
So nice.
Great. So good.
Thank you.
All right, good to see you all. All right, so we're gonna do the halachot of Hanukkah, but I want to do it from a perspective of owning the kilalim. I want to learn with you the core logical constructs of Hanukkah. And these are things that once you own them forever. And what we'll do is we'll learn these klalim, these principles or axioms of halachot related to Hanukkah. And then I'm going to ask you to apply them. Good? So let's see how we do it. First, we have the klal. We have the concept or the axiom. Ner ish ubeto. Ner ish ubeto. Hey, Mickey. A candle.
Ricky.
Good to see you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. For the person and his household. Ner, candle. Ish, male, man. Ubeto, and his household. Now.
Wait, I have to ask you something. Are you getting to why do the Ashkenazim have every person has a menorah and we have only
I'm
one?
actually not going there, but you're right, David. Excellent. That's what they're going to build from this point.
I
Excellent.
don't know how they even got that.
Yeah. So hold it for a couple minutes. Beautiful
Okay.
point. Hold it for 2 minutes. Now, what do we take? Hey, Sonny, what do we take from there? Ish ubeto, a candle for the man and his household. Therefore, what? Come on, extrapolate the halacha. Therefore, what? Rachel, I need you off mute. Let's go. Therefore, what?
So don't we do different than the Ashkenaz? We do one for our family and they take it as each person does their own?
Meaning I
Yeah,
cover
yeah.
my thing.
For sure, but leave that for a minute. We're going to come back to that. But what do you want to learn from there? You want to learn from there. I'll help you along a little bit. If
Meaning
the
the whole family? I don't know.
if the husband is not home, is somebody else light, and will he fulfill his obligation? Serene?
I think yes.
Okay, if it's ner, candle, ish, the man, ubeto, on his household, it means ish ubeto are on the same level. So that we learn a couple of things from that. First thing we learn is that if the man is not home, then his wife can light for him, or a non-minor can light for him. And because the whole bayit, it's inclusive. So it's not, if I don't put on my tefillin, my wife or my son can't put them on for me, right? But if I don't do the candles, then because it's inclusive, and we have the halachic klal, the halachic principle of ner ish ubeto, it means that you can do it for me and I can do it for you. Cool? So the wife can do it for her husband. The non-minor child can do it for his family, because I have the klal, the concept of a candle for the male and his household. Good. What's another upshot of this? Ham Yaakov, let's go. What's another upshot of this?
An upshot as it relates to Hanukkah, or
An upshot as relates to the candles.
Upshot as it relates to the candles.
If it relates to, if it's me, what?
I feel it's not about, I feel like it's not about, it's coming to teach, it's not about who lights it, but it's about what you're experiencing after it's lit. Like,
Okay, good,
you're
beautiful. Hold that for a couple minutes as well. Hold that for a couple minutes. Let's talk for another few minutes about who lights it. And let me add a little bit where it can be lit. Let's say the family members are not home. Can it be lit outside the home?
No.
Second, why not? The family members are not home. Everybody's in a hotel.
Oh, you couldn't hotel, yeah.
It can be. Why, David? Because
That's your new
That's where you
home.
live.
That's your home now for the
That's where you
time.
are.
right, it's chal on me and on my house. So if I'm in my house, it's on my house. If I'm out of my house, it's on me. So ner ish ubeto, the candle for the man and his house, House means family from a halakhic point of view, and house means actual home. So if I make my home someplace else, I can light there as well. Good. What is the minimum obligation of candles? How many candles do you need to fulfill the mitzvah on the first night? And how many candles do you need to fulfill the mitzvah in its core sense on the last night? How many?
One.
One.
Is it one?
Beautiful.
One plus one.
Why? 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 What was the phrase we just touched on?
It's a nair.
There. One.
Ner. Singular. Beautiful. So, ner ishu beto. If God forbid someone can't afford to do more than one, do they fulfill the mitzvah by doing just one, even on night 8? Absolutely. Because it's only about lighting one flame. Good. Now, at what point is the mitzvah fulfilled? We'll do this multiple choice. At what point is the mitzvah fulfilled? Immediately when the candle is lit, or after it burns for a period of time?
Burns.
Jamie
Probably
says after it
probably-
burns.
Probably
Huh?
after it burns, after it burns.
Mickey, after it burns. Any other opinions? So, how long do you want to say, Mickey? How long does it have to burn?
20 minutes.
Okay.
Full time.
The answer is with Nerot Hanuka that you fulfill the mitzvah if it burns for a second.
Oh.
The minute you light the mitzvah, the minute you light the candle, you have fulfilled the mitzvah. So, Rachel, what if it blows out a minute later? Did you fulfill your obligation?
That's fine. Mhm.
Excellent. Now, what if you put it in a place where there's a lot of wind and it blew out a minute later? Did you, a minute later, did you fulfill your obligation? Come on.
According to what you're saying, yes, would have to be.
Yes or no? Think about
Yes.
it. I put it in a place where it couldn't last. Did I fulfill my obligation?
No, because you basically squandered the potential at doing that. So you lose that, even though you had a second in the house, you had the potential of a life, or whatever the lifetime of the candle was here. You never actually had that potential, and therefore it's no good.
God bless you.
Hey.
Ish.
Thank
And
you.
that's exactly right, Jacob. Perfect. If I put it in a place where it couldn't last for a substantial period of time, ideally I want it to last for an hour. If it couldn't last, ad shetichle regel min hashuk, until people are really at home. I'm talking about when we start lighting it. But if I set myself up to not be able to do that, then it doesn't work. So if I put my candles in a place where they can last for an extended period of time, whether they did or didn't doesn't matter. Good so far? Great. Okay, David, going to your point of a few minutes ago, why do the Ashkenazim everybody light? You tell me, now that you know this axiom, why does everybody in the family might
It
light?
says betor.
Huh?
Betor means
Good.
plural, so
Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. Perfect. Now, in terms of the berachot that we say, when do we say a beracha on the candle lighting? When do we say the beracha?
after
Before
you
the lighting. Before the lighting, right?
or before,
Now-
before. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, what is the klal? What is the principle called that says that we always say a beracha before we do the mitzvah? Here again, I want you to own the principle. What is the principle called?
It's like eating, same thing.
Right, but what is the principle in Hebrew? Good, beautiful, David. What is the principle?
Is it like
Serene?
something, I don't know if I remember correct. Is it something like beracha hakdama like something
Very
like
nice.
that?
Very nice. It's beracha over la'asiyatan. Over, it passes along to the action. So the beracha passes along, it precedes the action. So here again, own the principle. Beracha over It goes over the asiyatan, to the action, to the action. The beracha always precedes the action. Hey, Erwin, the beracha always precedes the action. Good? Now, what if somebody lit the candles, David, and forgot to say the beracha or berachot? If somebody, hey, Erwin, if somebody lit the candles, talking about the laws of Hanukkah, of lighting the candles, and we're talking about axioms, core principles. Somebody lit the candles, David, and forgot to say the beracha. Did he fulfill the mitzvah of lighting the candles? Yes or no?
No.
Come on, why not? Anybody have a different opinion?
Well, some people light the Shabbat candles before, they say the bracha after.
Right, but in general, good, very good. In general, think about it. In general, if somebody did a mitzvah, and this is a general principle to own, you got to own it. If somebody did a mitzvah without saying the beracha on the mitzvah beforehand, Jake, somebody did the mitzvah without saying the beracha beforehand, did he fulfill the mitzvah, yes or no?
And b'diavad he did.
It's not even a b'diavad. It's not even a by default. It is not even a by default. That's what's fascinating here. The beracha, the blessing, and the mitzvah are two separate mitzvot. They're two separate mitzvot. Remember that always. The beracha on my tefillin, the beracha on my talit, the beracha on my Friday night candles, the beracha on my Hanukkah candles, and the doing of the mitzvah are two separate, it's two separate mitzvot. Therefore,
What happens if you
Therefore, I
eat
fulfilled
something
I
and you
fulfilled the
forgot to say
asiyah, but
the
not the
beracha?
beracha.
one
Sorry.
second. I lost it. I couldn't hear you both. David,
Go
what
ahead,
were you
David.
saying?
Sorry.
Oh, what happens if you eat something and you forgot to say you forgot to say shakol, for example? What do?
Okay, in terms of eating, you say it. Because you can't, in terms of eating, if you took one bite and you didn't say it, and you're about to take another or another whatever, you absolutely say the beracha at that point. It's a different type of beracha. You're absolutely right. We're going to
Unless you
talk
have a
about
safek whether or not you said it.
if it's a safek, if there's a question whether I said it. We
Yeah.
are very stringent in terms of questions on
Yeah.
whether we said a beracha. If we have a question, if we said the beracha or not, we do not repeat it. We do not. We're very strict in that respect, that we never repeat a beracha in case we may not have said it. Okay, so let's hold a few principles. Principle A, we say berachot over la'asiyatan. We say the berachot before we do the mitzvah. Axiom B, the beracha and the mitzvah. Carol, hi. The beracha and the mitzvah are two separate mitzvot. The beracha and the thing that I do are two separate mitzvot. So if I forgot to say the beracha, Erwin, I still fulfilled the mitzvah.
Right, but time out, just a question. Are you saying that it's part and parcel or 1 and 1 equals 3? In other words, if you do the 2 in line, is it a bigger item than if you forgot to do it? No, in other words, yeah,
It's
you
not
got
about
me?
an item. It's honestly not about an item. Honestly, not about an item.
No, if you do it, I'm not making fun, but if you do the beracha and you missed
It's
it,
not. No, it's not. It's two separate mitzvot.
okay,
I could have
that's what I
achieved,
wanted.
I could have accomplished 20 mitzvot today. I accomplished 19. But
Perfect.
you still fulfilled the mitzvah of doing the action. That's the key to know. If you do an action, a mitzvah, and you forget to say the beracha, you didn't impinge on the quality of the mitzvah. You fully fulfilled the mitzvah.
There are also mitzvot that are just berachot by themselves with no asiyah, technically, right?
Right, good. If it's just a beracha by itself and that's the mitzvah, obviously it's something else. Good.
Right,
Excellent.
Ricky, but you're saying in the arena of food, you just eat you eat the thing again and say the beracha if you missed it?
Yeah, because food is different. We're talking here about a beracha before a mitzvah.
Right.
Beracha before a mitzvah. If I did the mitzvah already, if I put on my tefillin, I effectuated the mitzvah of tefillin. Or We're going to talk about candles happen to be uniquely different, Hanukkah candles. We'll talk
Right.
about that. But in terms of eating, if I'm going to take another bite from the apple, then I say the beracha before that second bite or before that fourth bite or whatever it might be if I forgot it. Okay. So now let's see. We understand A, we say berachot before we do mitzvot. We understand B, that if I forgot to say the beracha, I gave up a mitzvah of saying the beracha, but I didn't impinge on the quality of the mitzvah that I actually did.
Right.
Now, we have something unique and fascinating in terms of the law of the Hadlakat Nerot. Some of us have learned this together before, of the lighting of the Hanukkah candles. What is it unique about the lighting of the Hanukkah candles in terms of saying the beracha? What is unique about lighting the Hanukkah candles in terms of saying the beracha specifically? Come on, crank it up.
Do you
What do
say
you say?
Shechianu? Do you say Shechianu every?
We say Shachayanu the first night, beautiful.
Oh,
And we
right.
say Shasani Sim every night, excellent. But talk to me, what is it? Now, I'm going to frame it differently. So we said that we say the beracha before we do the mitzvah, right? If we forgot to say the beracha and we did the mitzvah, we lost the opportunity to say the beracha, right? Right. What's the difference with the Hanukkah candles? It's different. How is it different? So we have a blow-away thing here that's unique to Hanukkah. Sonny, you with me? I want you to just hold this because it's very, very important. A, we start out. We say the beracha before the mitzvah. Got it. B, we said that the mitzvah is achieved with only one candle. Therefore, you would say that I've got to say the beracha and then light my one candle.
You like the right? You like the shamash first, right? No.
Yeah, leave that aside for a minute. We can talk about that in a little while. Excellent. But leave that aside for a minute. Leave that aside for a minute. Very good. Leave that for a minute. I have the beracha. I said the beracha. I lit the first mitzvah. I lit the first candle. Leaving out the shamosh for a minute. I lit the first candle. Should I have the ability to say the beracha then? Or have I already fulfilled the mitzvah? We said if the candle is lit for a minute, the mitzvah is fulfilled. So should I have the ability to say the beracha again?
No.
No. What's the unique thing about Hanukkah? I lost you. It's confusing. All right, I'm going to start again. I want you to own this. It's a little confusing, but let's do it again because you can own it and it's exciting and it's beautiful. Let's take our steps. How many candles do I need to fulfill the mitzvah of Hanukkah? One. Great. So all those extra candles are extra. We'll talk about what they're called in a minute. Good. One. How long does it have to light to fulfill the mitzvah? How long does it have to stay lit?
A
Couple of
minute.
seconds, right? As long as it had the ability to stay lit for longer, couple of seconds. Beautiful. Next, when do I say berachot vis-a-vis mitzvot? Before. Beautiful. Before. Good. Now, so that would mean that I should say the beracha before I light the candle, right? Before I light the first candle, pashut, which is generally what we do. We say the beracha before we light the first candle. But now think about it. Think about it. If I forgot to say the beracha before I lit the first candle, generally speaking, I wouldn't be able to say the beracha anymore because I fulfilled the mitzvah. But we have a special thing with the candles of Hanukkah, where we say, and I'd love for you to own this phrase as well, Hidur mitzvah ki mitzvah dame. The beautification of the mitzvah, meaning in this case, the extra candles are on the same level of the mitzvah itself.
You're saying because you can light after prior to the meaning the additional candles, And therefore, I'm equating it to the original, even though it's really, I fulfilled the mitzvah on the one.
So let's go like this.
He's saying,
Yeah, go
are you
ahead.
saying that the Hidor mitzvah is almost like an additional mitzvah, so therefore you can say the beracha?
No, you're saying it's exactly like the
Hidor?
mitzvah. You're equating it to the mitzvah itself.
In this
right?
case only, excellent. I'm going to put what the two of you said together. In this case only, the beautification of the mitzvah, which is the additional candles, is no less important than the mitzvah itself. Which would mean what, Serene? How
You're
long
allowed
can
to
I
say-
say the beracha? Huh?
As long as you're lighting, for as long as you're lighting all the
Beauty.
candles.
Beauty, perfect. So in this case, the extra, the add-on, the beautification of the mitzvah is no less important on the same exact level of the mitzvah itself. Therefore, unique to this case, I can say the beracha until I light the last mitzvah. Grand slam. So I can play it both ways in this case. Do I fulfill the mitzvah on one candle? Yes. Can I say the beracha until candle number 8? Yes. Why is that? Because Hanukkah is unique. And on Hanukkah, I have this incredible coalescence of the beautification of a mitzvah called Hidur mitzvah and Pirsumei Nisa, which is the publication, the pronouncing, the publicizing of a miracle.
So
And
that
because
becomes its,
yeah, again,
it becomes its own mitzvah.
it becomes no less that it becomes an extension of the primary mitzvah. The primary mitzvah didn't end.
No, but so before you said the beracha is one and the action is one. So here
Correct.
it's not beracha or action, beracha, action. No, it's just still two.
No, but the point is you have to say the beracha before the action, right?
Yeah, but if you forget, if you
Yeah.
did the action, then you could say the beracha and then you do the action again.
Right, but
So
in this
is it-
case,
is
you
it
never,
three
you never,
mitzvot?
you never,
The
no, good.
beautification isn't
Excellent.
a separate mitzvah.
Excellent, excellent. It's not two mitzvot. It's the extension of the first mitzvah.
Okay.
So generally, this is never, it doesn't happen anyplace else. Doesn't happen anyplace else. That's why it's so exciting. Because it's not that I have mitzvah A and mitzvah B, right? The first candle and the other candles, which is the beautification. And if I didn't catch it on mitzvah A, catch the beracha on mitzvah B. It's not that. It's mitzvah B, which inherently is less important than mitzvah A, isn't. It's elevated to the same importance. Why? Because mitzvah B, which is the beautification of the mitzvah, which is the additional candles that I light, helps me publicize the mitzvah. Because the more candles you got, the brighter it is.
Yeah, but it still has to coincide with the days of day one,
For
day two.
sure,
day three.
that's right. You can't light 6 candles and say, I'm gonna, on day 4 and stick the beracha in. Right,
Right.
okay. Who wants to tell it back to me? Come on. Who wants to tell it back to me? Let's go. Erwin, I need you with me on this. Come on. Who wants to say it over? Hi,
You
Joy.
lost me after the first candle. I was out.
I lost it. All right, Joy, let's go. Serene, say it over.
Oh, do I have
Serene's
to?
on. Yeah, Serene will bring it home.
I don't know. I think you told us 2 things. One is that you have to usually say the blessing before an action. And you also told us that the mitzvah is complete once the candle's lit for all of like 1 second.
Excellent.
So in this instance, you would think that when you light the candles, if you forgot to say the beracha, that's it. You can't say the beracha anymore. But here you are allowed to, because you're saying there's something unique to to Hanukkah, where we're saying Hidor mitzvah, mitzvah dameh, that it's an additional mitzvah to beautify with adding more candles. So that's like its own mitzvah. So you can say the beracha before doing the extra candles.
Right, because it's put
That
on
right?
the same, yes, beautiful. It's put on the same level.
Right.
All right, Erwin, you want to repeat it now?
I can't grab.
Come on, you can. I need you guys with me on this. I want you to break your heads a little bit. Let's spend another 3 minutes on it. Yeah, I want you to break your heads. I want you to own these concepts. A, let's go. A, I fulfill the mitzvah with one candle, ner, single. Now, I can light it, or anybody else in my family can light it, because we have a phrase, ner ishu beto. The candle is for me and for my household. I could light it home, I could light it away. She can light it for me when I'm away, because it's a comprehensive opportunity. My wife can't put on my tefillin. I can't do some of the mitzvot that another person does. But in this case, anyone in my family can nail this mitzvah. Good? And I can do it wherever I want, essentially, wherever I call home. Good?
Is there rules on the kid's age or 0?
Yeah, it can't be a minor. It has to be, it can't be a minor.
Okay. fine.
12 for a girl and 13 for a boy,
Okay,
right?
fine.
Okay, good. Now, we have the other rule that I always say a beracha before I complete a mitzvah. I always say a beracha before I complete a mitzvah. Got it?
Yeah.
Good, Rachel, you good? I always say a beracha before I complete a mitzvah. In this case, even though the mitzvah is completed a couple of seconds after the candle is lit, I have an extraordinary halachic circumstance here with the beautifying of the mitzvah, which is the extra candles, which is never on the level of the primary mitzvah, is put on the level of the primary mitzvah. Therefore, I haven't finished the primary mitzvah until the last extra candle is lit. Therefore,
So wait, can I ask you?
yeah, good.
On the first night, does this not
First-
apply, or do you use the
Doesn't
shama
apply.
for-
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Doesn't apply. Perfect. Now on the 8th night, Rachel, when can I say the beracha? Up to what?
Up to the
Up to
last
what
one.
point? Up to the 8th
So
candle.
right before the, yeah.
Excellent. Beautiful. Perfect.
But my question, I'll correct to that point. If you're gonna say, what you're basically saying is that the ikar is both of them, right? It's the commemoration and the beautification.
Yes.
So if you're gonna say that, then the halakha is really backwards, because it should have been set up that way where I'm saying it after I'm done. If what you're saying is I didn't finish the mitzvah till after I'm done.
Not till
meaning
after I'm done, till right before. I'm
Sorry,
done.
so right before you're done, right? So then why
Right
is it?
before I'm done. Because I have to hold with my general halachic principle. My general halachic principle is I say a
Do it
beracha before I do the mitzvah.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, I'm stretching it because the beautification of the mitzvah is pumped up to the top level. Why? Because of the third reason, which is by beautifying the mitzvah, I'm promoting my love of God and my proclamation of the miracle. And because it's such a profound thing in this particular case, we are going to shake things up.
But Ricky, I
I'm
have
with
a
you. I guess my question is, do it right before the last candle. 'Cause
Do it?
that's
No,
That's
because you
really
want
when
to
you're
hold.
doing the full mitzvah to the fullest extent. And
That's when the mitzvah is absolutely done. But
Okay, right.
I don't want to leave it to the end, because I want to keep my patterns. My patterns are I say the beracha and then I do a mitzvah. If I forgot to say the beracha for some reason, I have the opportunity to say it till the last one.
Yeah. Okay.
I hear
But
your
does-
point. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just in general, like, aren't all the mitzvot, they're from the Torah, right? They're from the Torah. So then the berachot, are they the Rabbanan?
The berachot are all the Rabbanan. Excellent.
Right. So like, it's really a bigger mitzvah to do the action, right?
Well, some mitzvot, like Ner Hanuka, is not from the Torah. Ner Hanuka, the candle of Hanukkah, is also the Rabbanan, is also rabbinic.
Right. So I feel like it's like the action and they're both rabbinic. So maybe they're both on the same like level of importance.
Because they're both rabbinic, they're both on the same level of importance. Okay, fine. But then where do you want to add the beautification of the mitzvah?
I don't know. Is the Hidur also the Rabbanan?
Absolutely. Well, not really. Not really. I shouldn't say that so quickly. Not really. The concept, well, yes, it's the concept of hidur, of beautifying the mitzvah. We base it on something written in Az Yashir, which we talked about.
Right.
This is my God, and I will glorify him. But it's a rabbinic dictum. It's really a rabbinic concept. So,
Right.
yes,
So this whole thing that like everything we're
this
discussing
whole
now
thing
is
is rabbinic. Yes.
it's all rabbinic. So I see how it all works together. Like, but in other instances, maybe you're saying this never happens because it's a doraita mitzvah and it is a derabanan bracha. Like you can't. It's a different situation.
It's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. If I have a rabbinic mitzvah, a rabbinic beracha, and a biblical mitzvah, so really the question is, how many mitzvot do I have that have a timeline until they're complete? That's the question.
You said
Like putting on
Right.
tefillin, right?
Yeah.
When is putting on tefillin the mitzvah completed? Is it completed the minute I put the tefillin, the minute I did the first tie on my arm, or is it completed when I take them off? So we say that it's completed, so to speak, as soon as I make that tie, I'm already done. So I don't want to be saying the beracha after that. On the other hand, what about, we've talked about this, some of us, what about washing my hands? What about doing the tilat yadayim? The purification of our hands. When do we say the beracha?
right when you wake up.
After, isn't it after you wash
Say
your
it
hands?
after. We say it after. So
Yeah.
let's go through the process.
Oh yes, you saying.
Everyone,
yeah.
give me the process. Tell me how you wash your hands and when you say the beracha.
You taught us that you do the switching off,
Right,
then you raise your hand.
right.
Was that right? Correct?
Yep,
Right? And
beautiful,
then,
yeah,
and then you say the beracha.
right.
No,
Before what? Before what?
Before you dry,
Excellent.
right?
So where
Right.
are we in terms of, to Serene's point, where are we in terms of the process of the beracha? Are we at the beginning of the
Cleansing is
beracha?
done.
We're at the
Cleansing-
process of the mitzvah, I'm sorry. Huh?
Cleansing is done when you dry, so therefore you're doing it before that.
Right, but are we at the beginning of the mitzvah or the end of the mitzvah?
You're in the
We're at
middle of the
beginning
mitzvah.
We're
at
in the middle of
beginning-
the mitzvah. Very good. Perfect. So what do I do? Netilat yadayim, washing hands,
Right.
is somewhat unique, where I say the beracha in the middle towards the end. Why do I do that, Jake?
because it's not really finished, the purification,
It's
so
not-
to speak.
I
is when you
don't
dry.
want to say a beracha with dirty hands. So I want to remove the impurities from my hands.
I see saying it's done when you wash. Got
So
it.
it's
Okay.
unique. Saying Netilat Yadayim is somewhat unique because really, technically, I should say the beracha before I start this process. But I don't want to be saying the beracha with ritually dirty hands. So I stall the beracha and I say it right before I finish the mitzvah, middle end. But that's also unique. It's also unique.
Is Netilah also the Rabbanan or no?
The Tilat Yadayim is based on a deoraita.
Oh.
I would say it's built from a deoraita, built from biblical, where the Kohanim would go to the Mishkan or the Beit HaMikdash, and they would wash their feet and their hands. So it's really built from that. So I guess you can't really call it a deoraita because we're not in the Beit HaMikdash doing it, but it's certainly inspired by that. So I
So
guess you
are
call it a
there any
deoraita.
instances like where there's a deoraita mitzvah that has like a unique situation with the beracha?
A deoraita mitzvah where we say the beracha until
Like
the
in
end.
or you need something different. Like I'm saying, I feel like the rabbis have the ability to make these decisions on rabbinical like mitzvot, but do they really
Right.
do that with deoraita?
Well, look, berachot in general are all rabbinic.
Right.
Berachot, what is the only beracha? David, what is the only beracha that's biblical? The only one.
Birkat hamazon.
Birkat hamazon, excellent. The only beracha that's biblical is Birkat hamazon, right? What we say after that's the only one. All the other ones are rabbinic. So, Serene, to your point, being that the berachot are rabbinic in total, I think I'm answering your point by saying that being that the berachot are rabbinic in total, there's a good amount of latitude here, right? Within the general conscripts. Okay. Are we okay on this one?
Random, but I don't know if, I guess it's probably not related, but if you're doing bidikah and you started searching, forgot to say beracha, can you do it mid bidikah?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. So when someone is checking for their chametz, Jake is asking, someone's checking for their chametz, right? Similar kind of thing. Excellent question. They're in the middle of a process and they can say the beracha in the middle of the process. Now, not uniquely, but interestingly, in terms of the bidikat chametz, what is the terminology of the beracha that we say?
The actual beracha.
Oh, it's singular, right?
It's yeah, but what is it about? What do we make the Baruch Hashem on the burning? We
Right,
make the
dior,
beracha on the
right.
burning. So in fact, it's so interesting
Yeah.
that we're not even making the beracha on the searching. We're making the beracha on the end of the process, which is the burning. So certainly, the whole time of the searching, we could say the beracha, because we're nowhere near the end of getting this mitzvah done.
Nice. And the searching really is more ritualistic than anything because we're searching when we're cleaning the house. We're searching.
Right, that's right. We're making a point, right? Good.
Ricky, I have a question.
Hey, Carol.
Hi. So you're not
Hi.
allowed to wash your hands in the bathroom? I guess.
So, very
I
good.
didn't-
So best, it's if you wash your hands in the bathroom and you do it with the cup,
Right.
then do it with the cup in the bathroom, step outside and say the beracha.
Yeah, I do. But you just said, well, while you're doing it, you should say it like at the end of doing it.
Right before you dry them. So if you wash
see.
in the bathroom,
Right,
step
okay.
outside of the bathroom and like Erwin described, raise your hands up, say the beracha and then dry them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah, that
good.
works.
Thank you.
Excellent, that works. Okay, what if, let's do a few other core concepts in halakha. Are you allowed to get unrelated benefit from a mitzvah? In other words, can I get benefit from the light of the Hanukkah candles? Can I get personal benefit? Am I allowed to get personal benefit from a mitzvah other than the benefit that you get from the mitzvah itself?
No.
Funny because it's the opposite of Shabbat in that respect, right?
Absolutely. Beautiful. And what is the phrase? En nehenin min ha-mitzvot. Or mitzvot en hana'ah. Therefore, if it's impossible for me to get personal pleasure or enjoyment exclusive of the strict mitzvah related enjoyment that I get by doing the mitzvah, that's why we add what to the Chanukiah?
The shamash.
Beautiful. That's why we add the shamash. So why? Put it together for me, David. Why do we add the shamash? What does adding the shamash do for me?
More light? No.
Huh?
More light?
Insurance.
It's
It's not
insurance.
part of the
as
mitzvah,
well.
so if you do enjoy from it, it's from the shamash. It's not from the mitzvah.
Beautiful, great. If I am enjoying the light, we're gonna apply that enjoyment to the shamash, not to the other candles, because we're not allowed to take separate non-mitzvah related hana'ah from the mitzvot themselves. So therefore, we juxtapose the shamash onto the Hanukkah. It has nothing to do with the Hanukkah. Shamash has nothing to do with anything. We stick it on there because we want to steer clear and far away from the possibility that we're getting personal benefit from the light of these candles.
Funny, because we think it's like a functional thing that we needed to
Right.
light the rest. I never knew that.
Yeah, so that's a fun one. Good. All right, let's do a few more. When's the prime time to light the mitzvot? Prime time?
Sundown.
Right after sunset.
Right, 15 minutes after sundown. What, again, another term that'd be great to own. What is that time called in halachic? Huh?
Ben Hashemashot.
Actually,
What?
later than that. What is Ben Hashemashot? Ben Hashemashot is before sundown, when it's in between day and night. That's Ben Hashemashot. That's in between the times. And then we have sundown. And then what's the time period called around 15, 20 minutes after sundown? Now Shekiah is sundown. And what's the next time period called? See if we can get it. Set. When the stars come out. So when is the prime time to light the candles?
Kochavim.
Beautiful, David. 15 or 20 minutes after sundown. B'tzet HaKochavim, when the stars come out. Great. Now, why was that decreed as the time? Great. People on their way home from work in the old days. Around that time, people would be on their way home from work. And therefore, if we want to be mefasem et mitzvah, we want as many people as possible to see my proclamation and celebration of the mitzvah, then I want to do that when there are most people in the street.
So wait, if
Yeah.
that's the case, the best time is, let's say, sunset's 4:30 for argument's sake. So around 4:45.
Right.
Is it better to let your wife light the candles than wait for you to come home at 7 o'clock?
It actually is, yeah. It
That's
actually
what I
is.
thought.
Yeah, it actually is. It's really better to have somebody else light at that opportune time rather
Right.
than waiting. But we have other considerations here. The main effort of celebrating the mitzvah is with family. That comes first. So if the wife or a non-minor child is going to be in the house alone or with one other person at let's call it 4:45 and light the Hanukkah, even though maybe there are more people in the street, I'm giving up on my family being together to enjoy the light. So it's a little bit of a push and a pull, I wouldn't say, the halakha is, the straight halakha is that it should be lit at that time. That's the goal. That's the preference. At the same time, the primary beneficiaries or the primary focus of who celebrates this great miracle is family, and the outsiders come second. So I guess it goes like this. If somebody's home at 4:45 and other people will be getting home much, much later, then light at 4:45. But if one person is home at 4:45, I'm not sure that's the exact time, but it's probably about right. If somebody is home 4:30, 4:45, when the stars come out, 15 minutes after sunset, and everybody will be getting together in an hour and a half later, I don't know. It's according to the strict halakha, you should light it 15 minutes after sunset. But according to the halakha, you want to also celebrate with family. So it's a little bit of a balance. And I would say I know what people do and what we should all try to do, at least on the first night, be home at that 4:45 or 4:30 or whatever time it'll be in a couple of weeks, at least on that first night. And the point is to make every effort to A, do it together as a family, and B, do it as early as you can, closest to the stars coming out. Good. What are the how do we light? From what side to what side, and how do we light? How do we add candles and how do we light? Think about it. Picture yourselves lighting.
Right to left.
From left to right.
Right, we add, what do we do from left?
to right, light.
We
and you
light
add from right to left.
from left to right and we add,
Right to left, or the
so
new candle.
we're facing the Hanukkah. We light the candle on the right, right? First night, we light the first candle, then we add to the left of it, and then we light from left to right, right? We light the new candle first. We always light the new candle first. So we add from right to left and we light from left to right. Good. What is the ideal height to have the Hanukkah, between what height and what height? So it's approximately 12 inches to 40 inches off the ground. And again,
The unit.
yeah, to have the unit placed. Good. Let's do one more that's going to be a little bit of a brain
Ricky,
bender.
wait, I have a question, Rick. How come
Yeah.
the next morning in shul they light the candle?
Fantastic. Great question. Who's going to answer that question?
You
Joy,
show the
what do you
NAS,
say? Huh?
to
David?
publicize the NAS.
Right, to publicize next. Excellent, David. So what are we doing? What we're breaking so many rules to publicize the miracle. What rules are we breaking? We light the candles, to Erwin's point. We light the candles in the morning, and we light the candles in the evening in shul when it's still daylight. Right? So
And
what are we doing? We're doing it while it's still daylight, right? Which really is, we just said that the time to light the candles is 15 minutes after sunset. But we light the candles in full daylight. Why?
Hidor mitzvah?
Huh?
Hidor?
Pirsumenisa. To publicize the miracle. So publicizing the miracle is such an overarching mitzvah that we do it even in broad daylight with a beracha, because it's so important to proclaim the miracle.
Right.
Let's do one more. Now let's do one other halachic sort of axiom. We say tadir v'she'eno tadir kodem. What does that mean? Jake, what does it mean? Tadir.
Something that is commonplace that we do, often, and something that is not commonplace, we do the commonplace first.
Excellent. So if something is done on a greater level of routine, to Jacob's point, if something is done more often and something is done less often, and the two come up to be done at about the same time, I do what's more often done, and then I add the other thing. So, case in point, let's say it's Saturday night and I'm lighting the Hanukkah candles in shul. So we have two things that have to happen after we finish our beat. We say the Havdalah, right? Which we say in shul and at home every week. And then we're going to light the candles at some point, which we only do 8 nights a year. In the shul.
They do reverse.
They do the reverse, David. What do they do exactly?
They do the Hanukkah first and then the Havdalah.
Beautiful. So what do you mean? What happened to the rule that I just gave you?
You finished in our beat, technically.
All right, but I'm still going to say the Havdalah.
You're going to say it, but
I guess it's the NAS again.
Excellent, David. Fabulous. Look at that. So generally speaking, the rule is if I do something more often and I do something less often, and the two come up to be done at the same time, I do that which is done more often first, and then I do that which is done less often. David, we break the rule when we light the Shabbat candles in the Beit Knesset on Saturday night. What do?
We do the
Hanukkah candles, excuse me, sorry. The Hanukkah candles on Saturday night, what do? We do the Hanukkah candles first, and then we do the Havdalah. Why, David?
assume hanes, what that word is.
Try to proclaim the miracle because people are going to stick around to wait for Havdalah. So if we say the Havdalah, people are going to
They'll
start
leave.
to leave, and you're going to have fewer people in the building. So because proclaiming the miracle is so essentially important, we will break another rule and we will light the Hanukkah candles before we do the Havdalah, even though Hanukkah candles are a couple of Shabbatot a year, and the Havdalah is 52 weeks a year. Now, what do we do in the house? What's the order?
What?
Huh?
As far as what? You do Havdalah first.
What?
You say, what do we do Saturday night?
Yeah,
No,
Saturday
Friday.
night.
Oh,
In
what
my
about Friday night? What about Friday night?
One second, we'll talk about Friday night in a second. What do I do Saturday night in my house?
Havdalah and then Hanukkah.
Excellent. I say the Havdalah first. Erwin, you with me?
I got it. Makes sense.
I thought well, I guess that takes it out of it, but I thought the reason for the Havdalah after, because you basically have no time commitment there. Whereas for the Hanukkah candles, I have the commitment there immediately at Tzet HaKochavim. And therefore I can wait, I can say Havdalah 6 hours from now. Doesn't matter.
True, but 52 weeks a year, I say Havdalah right after Shabbat.
Yeah.
Understood, but
And now I'm gonna push it back. But in the
Ricky and-
house, yeah.
Rick, in shul, do they do it reverse?
Yeah, like David said, they do the reverse. They do
right,
the
okay.
Hanukkah first, but at home, we do the Havdalah first
Right,
because
okay.
whoever's home is home. Whoever's home is home. Good. What do we do on Friday night? What do we do first? We do the
Hanukkah.
we do the Hanukkah candles first and
Otherwise,
then.
started already.
can light, obviously. Yeah.
Shabbat started.
Yeah, and we make sure in that case, we try to make sure that we have enough oil for the candles to make sure that they stay lit till this period of 15 minutes after sunset. So generally
Rick, yeah,
speaking,
You know, why do the Syrians, some people, I don't know, my wife's family did this, they light an extra candle. What is that all about?
I don't know where that
Did we
came
do
from.
that?
Is that a Syrian thing or is that outside the community?
I don't know, like.
I think, I don't know. I thought it came from outside the community. I don't know.
Outside-
No, I think I heard two reasons. One was Spain. It's something to commemorate the what happened in Spain, right? The
Yeah,
Inquisition.
the Inquisition,
Might
yeah.
be that. And there's something also a very big thing in Syria that also it could be for that.
Oh, yeah? Uh-huh.
Something
Okay.
like that. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it could be. So
Yeah, they-
I guess it's more for a miracle that they survived it rather than to commemorate it. I'm probably saying it wrong.
Very
But
nice.
you-
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I think it's something.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, David, you were gonna say something else on it?
No, I just think it's a Syrian thing. That's what I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume it's what Joy is saying, that it's to commemorate other miracles. Let's do one or two other things very quickly. During the
Wait,
time
can I
that.
ask you a question before you start?
uh-huh.
Who are we commemorating, who are we publicizing the miracle to? It's the people in our house or it's outside?
Yes. So it's primarily to our own families, and that's why we had the back and forth of when really should I be lighting. It's primarily to our own children, and it's secondarily to everybody else. And that's why we said back and forth, well, ideally I want to light earlier, but if all my children are going to be there a little bit later, you got to struggle with that a little bit, because the people you want to inspire primarily are your own family members.
So if that's the case, would Al Hanisim be part of the publicizing it in the house? Is that connected to the extra candles?
The saying the Beracha Al Hanisim that we say in the Amidah and in the Birkat Hamazon,
I'm saying, don't we say it after the candles, after we light?
we don't say Al Hanisim, we say,
So what are we saying?
what do we say?
Ma'asor?
One second. We sing the Ma'asor. 1 second. 1 second, I'll tell you. What do we say after the Berachot? We do say something, yes. I forget it just slipped out.
Mm.
Yeah, we say Hanerot Halalu Anu Madlikim, and then we say Mizmor Shir Hanukat Habayit David. Right, the Al Hanisim we say in the Amidah, in the silent prayer, and in the Birkat Hamazon.
Okay.
Okay, now, what about having a meal, a sit-down meal, before we light the candle? Should we be doing that? No. So
No,
we
you're
don't
supposed
have a,
First,
we don't have a sit-down meal before we light the candles, because we don't want to be distracted and we don't want to be delayed. You can eat what they call ochel arai, which is like a snack, a pickup item. That can be done.
And the wife shouldn't be
Right.
working.
And yeah, she's laughing because it's a strange
yeah,
thing
you
to
can't be
talk
working.
about. But the wife should not be working for the 20
While
minutes,
sick.
20 minutes, at least 20 minutes of while the candle is lit, assuming she's working other periods during the day. But assuming that's the case, she shouldn't be working during that 20 minutes or so on the candle is lit. Let's see what else we got. We'll touch on one or two other things real quick. What else? Any other thoughts or questions? We covered some good stuff, right?
Oh, by the way, Ricky, I checked it out.
Oh,
Sunset,
one of the-
I-
yeah. What,
sunset
Devin?
At Hanukkah is 4:31.
4:35. Wow, it's very early.
4:31.
4:31. Wow. What about let's do what's the preference? Let's do two more short things. The preference is with wax or oil.
Oil.
Oil, good. And with regular oil or olive oil? Olive oil, good. What if somebody missed doing the mitzvah on the first night? Can they make it up the following morning?
Great question.
Do you have?
Is there tashlumin? Exactly. Can you make it up like you make up the Omer, for example?
I don't. That's a great question.
The answer is
No.
we cannot make it up.
Is the
Wow.
ikar is the beautification and the persimmon and that's right. So if you're not gonna,
So we can't light the first candle any other time but the first night. But if we forgot to say, if we didn't do it the first night for whatever reason, and therefore didn't say the beracha of Shechianu, of giving us the opportunity to do a beautiful mitzvah again, and we do our first one on the second night.
you'd say
Do we say
Shechianu then?
Shechianu, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. We say the Shechianu on the second night. Good.
That's a nice one.
You can cover some good stuff. Any other thoughts, questions on some of these halachot? Erwin, we lost you at hello on this one?
No,
or
no,
what?
I picked it up.
Oh,
but
also Ricky,
So the question, wait, 1 second. The question is that if you miss the first night, the second night you put the first candle anyway, and you do it.
You put the two candles and you say Shechianu,
Good, okay, good.
and you say the Shechianu. Great. Any other thoughts, questions? Covered some stuff?
I have one quick question.
Okay.
What about if you want to light more than one menorah in your house? Is that considered hiddur, or is it just not our
Yeah.
custom?
So it's not our custom, but the people who do it, they do it in a different room. So if they'll do it in a different room, like
Yeah, you see it all in front of the windows,
in
like
the
a lot of
Ashkenazi
different.
house, it's not in
Yeah.
our house.
Ashkenazim do.
Why no seudat mitzvah?
What's that?
Why no seudat mitzvah in
It's a
general?
great question, Jake. In fact, we don't have Seudat Mitzvah per se, even though we have Hallel every day, right?
Yeah.
We don't have Seudat Mitzvah per se, but our rabbis recommend that to the extent possible, you should have Seudot on the holiday. You should invest the time and the focus in doing that as well, even though we don't have it. We don't specifically have it.
I wanted to say something else, that even though on Purim we have Seudah, we don't have here, but why do we not have Hallel on Purim and we have Hallel on Hanukkah?
Beautiful. Why don't we have Hallel
I
and
think I
Purim?
learned because I think it's more spiritual on Hanukkah, and I think Purim is more physical. I don't know, something like that.
Well, we also say on Purim, we have the Megillah, and the
Oh.
Megillah is in lieu of the Hallel.
Okay.
The
all right.
Megillah, which tells the story over so beautifully, is in lieu of the Hallel,
Okay.
replacement for. Good.
I have a question. Maybe I missed it, sorry. Let's say, I don't have it now, but let's say you have a college student. So he's in a dorm. He's still relying on our house menorah, or he's lighting his
Yes.
own?
He's relying on your house menorah. That's right.
He doesn't light his own.
Yeah. No.
But Ashkenazim would
You know,
light.
he can, huh?
If he, Ashkenazim, he would light there. I mean, he can still light technically if he wants.
He
to,
can
without a
still light, but
bracha.
he shouldn't say his own bracha, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if once he moves out, he moves out, but yeah, at this point, he's still part of your household, right?
Ricky, if you're traveling, does your house cover you?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you're traveling, yeah, we said that earlier, yep,
Right, okay, great.
good.
Good.
Ricky, what if you have two houses running?
You have two
One-
houses running, and, it's a great question.
Someone's
have-
living in your house
Someone-
in
right,
here in Brooklyn, and
Right.
you're in somewhere, another house.
in the city and wherever, Miami, wherever. So you would have to light in the house you're living in,
And he
and you have
like,
a family member living in the other house,
yes,
so they should light in that house.
so separate.
Yeah. You know, the dorm is a temporary place, but somebody living in a home, even if they're renting it or they're using it, you would light there. It's a fabulous
Right.
question. So if you're living in one house and a family member is living in the other house, even, can they be?
That's their house,
Yeah,
technically.
that is their house. So the question is, can their obligation be fulfilled by you lighting it in the primary house? It's a great question. I'm gonna answer quickly, although I want to think about it more. My sense is that they should light where they are because the house is still a house.
Right,
And even though they technically belong to you, right? That's the idea.
right.
Yeah, but I would say that they should light. I want to think about it a little more, but I'm pretty sure that they should light where they are in that other house.
And then you light where you are.
Well, they're
Yeah.
living there. It
Yeah.
seems obvious. If they're living there and it's just
No,
your
but
house.
It goes back to
No,
George.
I didn't know if they light for you. That's what I was
A
wondering.
light for you? No, you're gonna light for you.
Okay,
No,
okay,
if I'm living in at a house that my father owns and it's his house, but I'm living here, that's where I live. So I'm lighting here for me. He's lighting there for him.
all right, okay.
That's good. Good. Okay. All right, y'all.
All right.
Gotta get into the Hanukkah mode.
We're getting in the Hanukkah mode.
Well, you know.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, Ricky,
Thank you so
Very
much.
clear.
Thank you.
Ricky, next week we talk about the gifts and how we do that and how much we cap them on and all that.
Oh, yeah, you want to do that? Oh, now we're talking. That's heavy duty. That's heavy.
All right, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good night.
Bye. Thanks a lot.